Mm-hmm. All right, you're ready to go.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Please take roll.
Mr. Grumbles. Ms. Knapp.
Here.
Mrs. Faust.
Here.
We'll do a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay, go ahead, go up to the podium and give your name and address, please.
I really just came to observe. My name is Linda Long. I live at 6019 South Old State Road. And I'm wondering, is there any way we can get that stretch from Orange Road to Lewis Center down to 45 miles an hour? I mean, when the stoplights went up, I was thrilled because I thought, oh, this is going to slow everybody down. It's done the opposite. People try to beat those lights, and because we're so close to the light at Park Lawn, we'll hear these horns honking. And it's because the light is turning yellow, and the people in front are starting to stop, and the speeders don't like that. They want to go through it. And I'm just wondering, is there something we can do? We have like probably 15 different driveways coming off that road.
That is actually a county road, correct,
Right.
Michelle? Mm-hmm. But and normally we do a request for engineering on that, but maybe could you reach out just to see if they'd be interested in reevaluating that? I don't know when the last time that was evaluated, but it's probably been
I don't think it ever is.
quite a while, yeah.
I work at 8800 Lima Drive, and in the building we had a company that was bought. They were from Marion, and it's some kind of a computer company. Anyway, the gals were telling me, oh, we drive past your house every day. And I said, really? And they said, oh yeah, it's much faster than 23. And I thought, isn't that sad?
It's true. It does seem a little bit excessive being 55 in that area.
And, you know, like the bikers, there are actually bicyclists that are on that road. And it's like, they have to be, have a death wish.
Yeah.
What street are we?
We're talking about South Old State, between Orange Road and Lewis Center. It goes from 45 to 55. And, you've got that little space in front of the fire station where there's a little drive, right? And it doesn't warn people that it ends until they get past Orange Road. So then you've got all these people that are speeding and trying to get in, and there's more horn blowing down there. So it's just like, I just think if we reduced it to 10 miles, under 10 miles, it would help just tremendously. Yeah. And that's all I have to say. I love Orange Township. We love living here. It's a great area, and you've all done a great job. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you. Okay. Any more comments from the public? Okay. Next, we have Q&A benefits broker consulting agreement.
Morning, Board. So what I have before you today, I think number one is a resolution to grant Ms. Bonnie the authority to enter into an agreement with McGowan Brabender as our broker for our insurance coverages. And what I'd like to do is ask Dean Stitz. Dean is a consultant with McGowan. If he can go to the podium, please. And I just asked him to share with you a little bit about McGowan and what they do, who they are, and answer any questions that the board might have.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. McGowan Brabender is a local employee benefit firm here in Ohio, headquartered in Dayton, offices in Columbus, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and Indianapolis as well. We are celebrating 50 years in business. We're ESOP. We're an ESOP, so employee owned as of last summer, which is really exciting. continuing to commit to Main Street, not Wall Street, by not having to, sell to private equity, so on and so forth. We have a dynamic culture, a very empowering leadership team. And again, I'll just kind of stress we're benefits only, whereas a lot of other firms, that might be a division of what they do. We're exclusive to employee benefits, and very unique in that role. Our retention is 96% compared to the industry average of 88. We have about 1,500 clients servicing about 250,000 belly buttons and about $1.5 billion in spend. Probably the biggest takeaway, the one that I would like to leave, and then, if there's Q&A, happy to answer questions, would be, in addition to supporting Mike and his team, what does it mean to your, employees at the end of the day? So, and their families at home. In addition to just like looking to, regulate cost, consider, cost and evaluation of benefit design and like what's, going to matter to the member. We have a team internally that operates very much like a call center. So rather than calling the back of your insurance card, talking to 7 different automated voice messages, getting kind of drug around, they can just place a direct phone call to McGowan Brabender, and that that person, whoever that is, spouse at home, has a direct line to a person that is, healthcare warrior. They do it for a living, right? And so they can, whether it's like, I went to the doctor, thought I was going to pay a $30 copay, it was $300, but I had to do it. Like, now what? Like that reality probably rings true weekly. They can just call McGowan Brabender, and they can, really, it's a very ticketed process. So, at that point forward, we have the legal responsibility and allowance to kind of call the providers operating on behalf of the person to where the person does not have to do it. So, a lot of service and support to Mike and his team, ultimately servicing your employees, but then also, what does it matter to your employees is that other huge piece, and I'll call that advocacy.
That's great. Mike, do you have anything else to add?
So when I think about, brokers and what I'm looking at really is the best plan for our folks at the best cost with the best service. And I think who we partner with in trying to achieve those 3 objectives is extremely important. I've been very impressed with McGowan Brabender, with Dean, his team, Tim Rieger as well. And I believe that they would deliver on those 3 objectives here for the township. And so I'm excited to introduce them to the board. And again, if there's any questions, be glad to answer those for you.
And we're currently using First Commonwealth.
That's
is
correct.
That correct? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think we started using them. It was kind of like a last minute decision back 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, because there was some kind of lawsuit or we got dropped from something. It was some big deal. And then we had to quickly find a broker that could work with us very quickly. And so it's nice to have someone maybe that's a little bit more responsive. That would be great. Any questions from the board or anybody else?
You mentioned call center. We get to talk to an actual human. I was just wondering how many staff work in your call center?
About 8.
Okay.
Full-time in Dayton, Ohio. It's what they do.
Okay. And is there someone that regularly, like on your org chart kind of there, that we would be dealing with on a regular basis?
Your employees most likely, are going to operate either by virtue of Mike and his team or directly to the call center.
Okay.
Whereas, kind of seen here on this picture, and Kim Snyder is in charge of that advocacy team. But those that, would work most, intimately with your administration, with Mike and team, would be Tim, myself, Valerie, and Kira in this example. Kind of like the core 4 of us. Those are the ones that Mike's going to remember: our phone numbers, our emails, and then kind of the additional figureheads are just people supporting us, supporting you guys.
I used to go to church with Valerie. I know her.
You know Valerie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
She's really nice, yeah.
She is.
She's good.
Is that something that our current broker offered, that service where you could call them and ask
Directly,
questions?
yeah, I don't know directly. In my experience, it's been, call the number on the back of the card.
Oh, yeah. And I've had a pretty good experience, I think, in the past with the actual insurance company, but sometimes it's a very confusing situation. Like, why am I paying this copay, or, why was I going to this doctor and all of a sudden the fees jumped up? And sometimes it's not as easy to explain for an insurance company, you know, versus someone that's really familiar with it.
Yeah, it can be really important for employees having, have that advocate, and that's what NB is. They advocate for our staff. They go to bat for them, which is what I want.
So they can help solve problems too.
Absolutely.
If you have a question like a dispute, because sometimes you have a dispute and you just feel like you gotta, file that dispute within 60 days or whatever. It's a real hassle.
Yeah, this team saved over $2 million for end users, for members in 2021
Oh, wow.
across 1,500 clients. Yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
huge number.
And my understanding in the last couple years is we've had to change insurance carriers like,
Mhm.
kind of frequently. Is that you guys found that is something that typically happens? Is that just kind of market or?
Both. I mean, it's going to largely drive on the financial decisions and the reasons to do so, mixed with also understanding the disruption that can cause. So that's, I mean, it would be, I mean, that's due diligence, is looking, and then at that point weighing the pros and the cons. If there's a financial sense to switching, really being honest about that conversation, and then kind of knowing the con that might come with that, with potential disruption.
Doctors. And all.
But then the other half of all of that is, I mean, that's again kind of falling back on the broker role, where employee communication and education and making sure they understand, like, hey, this is changing, rather than going to your primary care doc. Double check prior to that very first visit just to make sure. Although in Central Ohio, I would say, we're really only going to look at the predominant, big five carriers for an organization your size. And when doing that, one doc to another doc is generally in network with kind of the big five players that we're going to look at. And if we look outside of that, again, that's, education first at Mike's role, but then also, to the employees at the end of the day, if we do make the decision to change.
And who are the big five here?
Aetna, Blue Cross, Anthem, UHC, United Healthcare, MMO, Medical Mutual of Ohio, and Cigna.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
They can help us when we're making our decision about whether to switch.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll take us to market every year and do an analysis for us and come back with recommendations.
Okay, and then they'll help like print up fact sheets for employees when we do switch.
Yep.
Give information for that. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's very handy. That's a pretty overwhelming experience for most employees and me. I mean, it's difficult to switch every year. Yeah.
It is.
All right. Do we have any more questions?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-235, approving an agreement with McGowan Bray Vendor for purposes of administration of insurance program.
Second?
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mrs. Faust.
Yes.
Next on the agenda, we have agenda changes. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I do have a few. Under fire report, I'd like to add item D regarding sick and vacation reimbursement for Jason Ray. And then under operations report, I'd like to remove item B and item E. Not ready for that at this time.
You said D and E?
D is in boy and E is in Edgar.
Oh, B. Okay, and I would like to add to, I guess, new business, parade and fireworks.
Is that something we could add in the beginning, just because the fire chief has to leave?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Shortly after his report, so if you wanted discussion with him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're
Maybe
adding,
after the consent agenda? Does that work?
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine, yep. Okay, next we have, consent agenda approval. Are there any questions?
I will need to, I'm sorry, I will need to remove the Edge group under the second item under the consent agenda as well. So there'll
Okay,
just be
it's on
one.
there, okay.
resolution.
Was it 236 starting?
236 and 237.
Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution 22-236, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the regular meeting held on June 21st, 2022, and special meeting held on June 22nd, 2022.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. Okay, make a motion to approve resolution 22-237, approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders, and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. Next, we have fire report, chief.
Good morning, board. First thing on the agenda is unfortunately to accept resignation of one of our full-time members, Jake Stimmel. Jake Stimmel's been with us for about 5 years, 2 is full-time, about 3 to 4 years as a part-time, 2 years of full-time, sorry. And he has decided to take a different route in life that he'd like to go, and he has a passion for physical fitness and is looking to be a physical trainer. So he decided to go and chase that dream. So he's done a lot of good work for us, and he'll be missed. But we're excited that he's going to do something that he's really passionate about. So next on the agenda, we received a donation from a family of one of our patients for 3 $25 gift cards towards First Watch Daytime Cafe for Unit 1 crews that responds to the patient. So, and we're very, very thankful for that, and they do appreciate it. And then on the agenda, I also we have some stuff that we've had in the barn for, I don't know how long it's actually been there, but we have an old medic that's in there, and then a 350 that used to be one of our command vehicles that has command slide out in it plus a cap for it. We're looking at putting those on gov deals. Also a generator that came off of our old rescue truck, and we have 1,075 foot of hose that is no longer good. So it's condemned when we do hose testing. If it fails, it's no longer serviceable. You can't sell it. You can't do anything with it. So that's basically going to be trash. So we're looking at putting a couple things on gov deals, and then the fire hose, of course, which would be trashed.
Will you be able to sell the generator?
Yeah, we're going to try to sell that too. So, and then the final thing I have on the agenda is for Jason Ray. He was out for a while, and he has been approved, his BWC claim and everything. So we're looking to reimburse his sick leave hours of 237 hours and his vacation hours for 72 hours. And as far as any resolutions, I did want to bring up over this weekend, we were able to put the boat out. I think we only had to do 2 people overtime at all for the whole weekend. Unfortunately, on Sunday, we found out that the boat was taking on water. The weld on the boat was going bad, so we had to pull it out of service. What we did, though, is we did team up with Berlin because they're short on staff. We sent one of our individuals to get on the boat, so they put Berlin's boat out. So we were able to put a boat out on the water, and between us and Berlin, staffing the boat. So, but we did get the boat fixed yesterday. We did find someone to weld it. So I think they're going to take it out today. Depending on weather, today or tomorrow, to make sure that there's more issues. So, but overall, the weekend did go well. No major responses. We did have a dog that we helped get from underneath was somehow end up in the water and underneath a dock, and we had to hold the boards off the dock to get him out, but we were able to get to the dog. So that was it for our calls this weekend. So
That went pretty well.
it went well, yes.
Was
it
the
did.
public pretty well behaved or kind of rowdy like we were discussing?
For the most part, yeah. I didn't hear any major stories. I know that there was a lot of people that did make comments about us being out there and thanking for taking the time to be out there and stuff. So I think it did go pretty well.
Pretty well. Yeah, that was great. It was a really good idea.
Thank you for being proactive in that.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Board.
Did you want to talk about the parade and fireworks?
Yeah, let me approve these real quick and then just to get them out of the way before I forget. Let's see here. I make a motion to approve Resolution 22-238, accept resignation of full-time firefighter paramedic Jake Stimmel.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. And make a motion to approve Resolution 22-239, acknowledge and accept donation.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. And I make a motion to approve Resolution 22-240, finding certain personal property not needed for public use, obsolete or unfit for the use for which it was acquired to have no value, and ordering it to be auctioned on GovDeals, Inc., be discarded or salvaged.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I spoke with the pastor of Adventure Church, and I think maybe someone here had at some point, but they're willing to hand that parade over to us and maybe help in some way, but they've relocated to Berlin Township. So they primarily, sorry, there's two reservations. Oh, did I miss two? Yeah. Okay. Okay, wait, I missed two resolutions. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-231, approve the reimbursement of sick leave hours for Jason Ray.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. And make a motion to approve Resolution 22-242, authorize the reimbursement of vacation time to injury leave for Jason Ray.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. So the church is willing, the Adventure Church has been putting on the parade for many years now, and they're willing to hand it over to us. So maybe, have people heard that already?
Well, are they willing to partner with us in a parade in the future, or are they able to help us?
Well, they said that they've relocated to Berlin Township now, and they say they have a lot of Berlin residents that attend, but I don't think that they took that completely off the table because, I had mentioned maybe making it more of an Olentangy parade, which would include Berlin, which it kind of was supposed to be before. And if we're able to move that to Evans Farm, that might be something that,
Great idea.
yeah, so it would be a huge undertaking, so we probably want to see the legalities of it. I think we can spend money on that now once that law got passed.
Yeah,
So,
I think now you have a lot more time to plan for next year
Yeah.
than we did this year for parades.
I think it can be pretty overwhelming. And then, of course, we can always reach out to former trustee Torano, who's start the parade once she's moved away. So that was really exciting because it was a real shame that we didn't have a big parade this year. So, or the last couple of years? It's been since 2019, I think. So.
And we were able to do a bike parade here on Saturday.
Yeah,
We had
yeah,
a
that's
great
right.
turnout, so we were excited for that experience. I think all the families that were there had a lot of fun, and so we were able to do something, but definitely it was not what the the whole parade.
Yeah,
did.
but much better than doing nothing at all. I heard a lot of good
And then
feedback.
I went to the dive-in movie also on Sunday evening, and that was also, it wasn't packed, but it was good, and lots of families, and I think they had fun. So
Yeah, that's great. Having
we were doing some
fun
stuff.
here.
It was
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to kind of.
It was nice and safe too. I was a little concerned about too many people at the pool, but it was definitely
Was
safe.
it?
Our lifeguards were great. They were on top of everything. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it was a good weekend.
that's good. So yeah, maybe we can get started on that. Maybe reach out to them and
Sure.
see that. So that would be a pretty big undertaking, but maybe coordinate with some other townships. That was exciting. And then the second one is about fireworks. I didn't want to get too much into it, but I'm a huge proponent of liberty and fireworks in the United States. I mean, most people know that. But there was a new law that passed, I believe, effective July 1st, where it seemed as though you could pretty much, set off fireworks between 7 and 11 on numerous days. I think it was, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even tonight. And I think even this coming Friday. Chief, is that correct? I think it's the Friday after the holiday.
I can't recall them right off the top of my head, but it was multiple dates.
New Year's Eve and
There's
throughout
some-
the year, there's multiple dates.
and actually I had it pulled
Chinese
up.
New Year.
Hold on, I had it pulled
July
up.
3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, Juneteenth. Yeah, so it's so many days. I think it's July 3rd through 5th. Let's see here. And I'm looking more into this. I just wanted to mention it. Let's see, July 3rd through 5th, and the Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays before and after July 4th. So that's going to be this weekend. Labor Day weekend, Diwali, New Year's Eve and Day, Lunar New Year, and Cinco de Mayo. And Memorial Day weekend starting next year in 2023 and Juneteenth in 2023, because those have already passed this year. So, and the hours are limited to 7 to 11, thank goodness. But that's a lot of days and a lot of time to have fireworks. And in my own, now I don't have any small children, and thank God my dogs aren't afraid of fireworks. But if I had babies or toddlers, there were literally fireworks for 4 straight hours in my neighborhood, and it was shaking the house. So I got a few comments. Some people wanted to ban them altogether. I think I'd still like to allow them, but maybe talk about setting a window, like, or maybe I think we could actually reevaluate every year. Like, for example, I don't think it would be necessary to have fireworks tonight because it's a work night.
Yeah, the challenge would be the enforcement side of it. As
Yeah.
the chief and I, prior to this holiday, we worked at the sheriff's office, and if we don't have policing presence here to do the enforcement, so that would be the challenge.
And I talked to Chief about this yesterday, and that was his concern as well. But we didn't really have a lot of enforcement before. I mean, people still set fireworks off in my neighborhood every year. But I think if we could at least, if everyone knew that we were limiting them on like July 4th to 9:30, maybe 8:30 to 10:30. And I think most people would actually just set them off on that time. It would give people an opportunity to make sure that their dogs are safe somewhere, and it wouldn't be as unexpected. I think the time frame of 7 to 11, maybe on July 4th, possibly. But I didn't hear any fireworks last night in my neighborhood, which is probably because it was a work night. It wasn't as bad. But
Were they really going off at 7? You can't even. It's not even dark at 7.
I would. Yeah, probably 7:38. Probably the little kids, maybe the kids that went to bed. Yeah, they were. But most of it took place between, I would say, like 8 and 10:30. But it's everyone pretty much cut it off. But it was, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe the whole neighborhood was full of fireworks. And I also did read that it's only legal if they're on your own property. So if you're doing them in the street, technically that would be illegal because that's not your property. So that could limit some things. There's some other regulations, like you have to be so many feet away. All spectators need to be like 50 feet away for certain things. So, I mean, even if in the past we've had issues with regulating it, but if it is technically against the law, that most people are law abiding and the majority of people would abide by that. But if it's kind of a free for all between 7 and 11, I think you could kind of limit the time frame possibly. But I want it to be reasonable. But if we're allowed to do it, technically it could be 5 days straight if the Friday after the holiday was after the 4th. So how was your neighborhood?
I actually went to Delaware fireworks, so it wasn't worth it.
I mean, on the 3rd though, was it? My big thing was on the.
It didn't jump out at me.
Really?
So
I live in
on the 3rd, I was. You
neighborhood.
do. And I can say the 3rd, I was at the pool at the diving movie, and I could see them west of the pool.
And to the south. Yeah, it seemed like most of them were on the 3rd. In my neighborhood, okay. It was. I mean, I thought it was kind of fun, but like I said, if I had little kids or I was older or something, I would find it to be 3.5 hours straight would be disruptive. Yeah. Oh, ma'am, would you like to come
I lived in Shores, and I swear there were two
competing
cul-de-sacs that had professional.
Wow.
I mean, they were like incredible. I mean, we had a lot of trees, so we couldn't see a lot.
You could hear them and feel them.
Well, we could see it in between.
Yeah.
We actually thought that a couple of them hit our house.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So, and so I talked to Chief about this. Any fireworks that are sold at a commercial fireworks establishment, any of those can be shot off. So any of the professional ones you would technically need a license for, but that doesn't mean people couldn't have somehow got some, I guess. But they probably are mostly legal because I got some pictures of some of them. They appeared to be legal, but they were very, very loud and very, very big. And what if you have a lot of veterans or others who have PTSD and they might want to get out of the way or go somewhere else. I think what the lawmakers did is allow a huge range of flexibility in times and dates for different communities. So if you were more rural, you might not want to restrict it at all. You know, we had some friends that live way out in the country and they had crazy fireworks for like 3 days on end, but wouldn't have been such a big deal. But when you're in a subdivision, you know, with thousands of people close by, I can see it would just be really, if we could set maybe some kind of limit on certain days or things like that. Because actually, so on New Year's Eve, I believe you can set them off that evening, and then I think between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. So I know it's New Year's Eve, but there's some. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to have some fireworks. I mean, it's fun for a lot of people, but I just.
And do we have authority to, you know, kind of restrict what the state has done?
So they've given us like a huge envelope of opportunity, and then we can narrow it down as to. And I don't want to be overreactionary, but I'm assuming a lot of people were just surprised by it this year, like when it started going off. But it was pretty crazy in the neighborhood. And also, you know, it's illegal to litter, and the next morning there was a lot of littering things. And of course, you can't have one that causes a fire hazard, and you can go on people's roofs. You have to be careful. So, yeah. So, Chief, do you have any extra comment? I know it is hard to enforce, but at least if it was illegal.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think, you know, no matter what you do, I mean, people are considerate, try to look at different times, and they try to be considerate and make sure that they're doing a, you know, what they want to do, but also ensuring that they're not going to affect other people, knowing other people. Some people don't have days off and work. So, but I think the ones that aren't considered, they're going to do them no matter what we put out there. They're going to do it anyways. The only thing I will say is my concern is it is the enforcement side. That was the biggest thing for a lot of communities in the area. If it turned into where we're getting called because, you know, of course, if there's fire, if they're setting them off a medical issue, if there's setting them off near something that, like gas tanks or something that could cause, you know, something to happen, you know, that's one thing. But if it's just, hey, people are setting fireworks off, and if they start calling us because the sheriff's office is busy dealing with other things, my fear is that it'll give us a negative outlook where, hey, we called the fire department, they didn't show up, because I can't be sending $1 million trucks to go tell someone, hey, you know, you're making a lot of noise, and then, you know, something else actually be going on where they need us to respond and we're dealing with something. So I just want to be very careful how we approach that, because not having actual police presence here, the enforcement is going to be very difficult. I just don't want it to fall on the fire department, because we can't enforce. We can go tell someone, hey.
Can you not legally? That's not your area. You can't legally enforce that. Correct?
No, and the only thing we would do is something that there was a major fire hazard or something. We would call the sheriff office and we would stay on scene until they got there, and then we, you know, so that way we stop it.
Something was on a roof or
if they were doing something that was going to cause major, you know, possibly damage to a facility or something like that. Yeah, we could do, but we couldn't do anything. We couldn't, you know, take them from them. We would just wait for the sheriff to get there and take care of it. So
and the sheriff has always been in charge of that anyway. And maybe people were just extra excited this year and decided to go crazy, you know. And in my neighborhood, but I did hear a lot, and it would be nice just to limit it. And it's like trick or treat. You tell people it's 6 to 8 or 5:30, 7:30. You know, some neighborhoods change it up, but then at least it's not, you know, it's a limited amount of time. Everyone does it at the same time versus, you know, if you had a 5-hour trick or treat and no one knew when to do it. So, yeah, and we can put some public awareness out there at different dates so people aren't surprised when fireworks are going off. But we can maybe talk to the prosecutor about that. They might have some language, so I'll work on that. So, okay. Thanks, Chief. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next we have the development and zoning report. Robin?
Good morning. For the zoning hearings and meetings report, our next meeting with the Zoning Commission is on Tuesday, July 12th. That is an organizational meeting to approve minutes of previous meetings and also to give them an update on our zoning resolution rewrite. We do have a hearing scheduled with this board Wednesday, July 20th at 5:30 for rezoning application ZON 22-05 That is the New Gen Tennis Facility on Green Meadows Drive. Board of Zoning Appeals, we do have a meeting Thursday, July 21st. We have 3 applications for that evening. The first is a variance submitted by Nationwide Children's Hospital. They are asking for a reduction in their parking as well as setback reduction to construct a new storage structure. There's a conditional use application for a monument sign in the single family plan residential district at Bear Trail and South Old State Road. And there's also an area variance for an already constructed addition encroaching into a rear yard setback on Scarlet Avenue. The next zoning commission meeting is Tuesday, July 26th at 6:30. There are 2 applications that evening that were continued from previous hearings. There is a request to rezone approximately 5 acres from FR1 to single family plan residential district to allow for 10 homes on East Orange Road, as well as an application for a site located at 123 Hyatt's Road, amending their planned commercial and office district to allow increased permitted uses for community events, as well as to increase their parking.
Rob and I was,
Master plan project. We are through the multi-month process of that and the evaluation process, and are preparing for the conclusion, which the board received copies of that recently to review. And I believe Michelle has been working through multiple dates to schedule a special meeting for a review of the master plan with the community.
Yes, I was able to get a hold of Trustee Grumbles, and it looks like the 2 dates that we're focusing on is either August 3rd or 4th in the evening.
I can do either. Lisa, was there one that was better for you?
The 3rd or the 4th, you
Yes.
said? Oh, that's right. The 3rd is better.
Okay.
Wednesday,
What time?
5:30? Or when would we discuss?
At 5:30 works for Trustee Grumbles, I know that.
Okay.
So,
That works for me. Can you explain to me, Silas, as this is new for me, what that meeting will entail? How are they going to give a presentation? How does that? I've read through the executive summary, so I just didn't know what are we getting into?
So our consultant, Brandstetter and Carroll, will be at the meeting as well. They will walk through the process a little bit and highlight some pieces and parts. There'll be opportunity for some Q&A to help explain how some of the conclusions were created and where the data came from. They'll probably talk a little bit more about some of the surveys and where the data was collected from that led them to where they got to. So a little more of a brief history, but also a little more of an emphasis on where we go from here and how they got there.
And the Q&A will be for us and also the community?
Yeah, there'll be an opportunity for people to ask questions and whatnot as well. It's a huge document, so there's a lot of info in there, and sometimes the answers are there. It just takes a while to find them. So there'll be a firsthand opportunity to get that info straight from them.
So will they be giving a verbal overview to those of us who are here? Obviously, we had a chance to review the document, but the community hasn't.
Correct. Yeah, and again, it'll be more of the highlights. It won't be in depth with some of the background stuff as much, but it'll definitely hit the highlights and kind of talk about the history of how we got to where we are.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So it's a plan as to how we want to build out the rest of the township with parks and trails.
It's a 10-year master plan of where we are, where we're going, and how we can get there. It's not inclusive and expected that we'll get to everything that's in the plan for the next 10 years. It's similar to the last several parks master plans that have been completed, and at least will give us a blueprint and a foundation, some guidelines to move forward with.
And then when will we discuss how we would fund these improvements?
After we prioritize which ones we choose to fund.
Okay.
So some of them are going to be low-hanging fruit, if you will, some more attainable goals. Some of them are longer-term, 5, 10 plus year projects that are going to take some time to put together, and some of those are going to be again similar, more affordable. Some are going to be less affordable. So, I guess as a board, hear how we should prioritize those and what some of the goals should be, and then figure out how to accomplish them.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And how will the community know about this meeting? I know we had some residents who have been involved in this process who maybe weren't on your planning team, but how do we let other people know?
It'll be similar to any other meeting. We have opportunities through our listserv as well as our rec desk connections that we'll put it out there. Carolina and Michelle and Val probably spearhead all the other social media engagement and online engagement to inform people of the meeting.
And we did have an open house on this too, so
Right.
similar to the zoning one where residents could walk around and there were different booths and could
Right.
vote on things.
Okay.
It'll
Yeah, I
be
would just-
advertised as a special meeting
Okay.
also.
And I would just ask that we send it to as many listservs as we can. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right. The other two items I have on the operations report, I'll just tackle together if that's okay with the board. As you likely recall, we had a couple full-time positions available in the Public Works Department here over the last month or so. And throughout the hiring process, we identified and are happy to bring to the board a recommendation to approve the hiring of Tyler Walker as well as Mason Mullahan for the two vacant Public Works labor positions.
Yep, I read through their resumes, and Mike, it was very helpful that you gave us their interview notes and their recommendation letters and that kind of stuff, so that just helps me know a little bit more about them, and so thank you for that, and yeah, we're excited to have them as part of the team.
Okay, no, it's very, very fun to get some eager folks to come in, and we're real pleased with the process and the outcome.
Anything else?
That's it.
So the rest of these will be moved up right after 244.
It'll be 244 will be.
I tried to clean up the numbers, Lisa.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Walker is 244.
Oh, good job. Thanks, Michelle. Okay, make a motion to approve resolution 22-243, scheduled meeting date for Parks Master Plan on August 3rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. Can make a motion to approve resolution 22-244, appointment to Tyler Walker for full-time collective bargaining position of Public Works labor.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-245, appointment to Mason Mullahan for full-time collective bargaining position of Public Works labor.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
And next, we have fiscal officer report.
I just have two things. It's the next step for the levies that we've been discussing the last couple months. You did as a reminder, back on June 13th, the board passed the resolution of necessity for both the parks and the roads levies, both at 5 years. So what we have here is just the resolution to proceed, which has the actual millage, millage in it as far as the current tax valuation and things like that, received from the county auditor. And I did ask Mr. Betts just to proof it to make sure I didn't have any typos, and he said we're good to go. So any questions on the resolution to proceed?
No, does this actually, what happens after this?
After this, do we have, we'll get your signatures today, and then I have to send the originals. Actually, I'll drive them to the Board of Elections, to Carla Heron there, and submit those to her. And I think, I remember I have a checklist back in my office, but I think I also have to post something in the newspaper. So then I'll get, the Board of Elections will send me the actual ballot language for me to do a review of also, which I'll approve that, and that's what will be there. Yeah, so it's got to be in by like August 8th, but with going, we've got a vacation scheduled in there, and I just didn't want to risk getting too close to it.
Also,
So.
there could be an issue come up that you.
Yeah, it gives plenty of
Someone else is
time.
on vacation.
Yeah.
Not available. We already went through that once
We
a few
did.
years ago.
I heard.
Oh,
So
good
I'm trying to get out in front of it and avoid any last minute running, with the sheriff escort down 23.
It's still being late.
Yeah, so I'll also follow up and send it via email also, just for backup.
Yeah, thanks for being so responsible and
Thank you.
proactive. Thank you.
No problem.
So let's see.
Do we have those?
Yeah. It's 246. I make a motion to approve resolution 22-246, resolution to proceed with submission of the question of levying a renewal tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of parks and recreational purposes.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. I make a motion to approve resolution 22-247, resolution to proceed with submission of the question of levying a renewal tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the purpose of general construction, reconstruction, resurfacing, and repair of streets, roads, and bridges.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Yes.
Okay, next, we have administrative reports.
I actually do not have anything today.
Okay, and there's no old business and no new business, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll go to executive session. Do we have any business after executive session?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so staff can be
Mm-hmm.
dismissed, okay. Let's see, and make a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G8 for the purpose of considering confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance that is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under RC 715-5709.73 through 5709.75 and/or RC 715, invited to attend, as the board, which is actually default, so it doesn't need to be said, but fiscal officer, legal counsel, and the administrator.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Yes.
Thank Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution 22-249, return to regular session.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes. Okay, is there any further business to come before the board?
We do not have any.
None? Okay. I make a motion to approve resolution 22-250, meeting adjournment.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Thank you.